Please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Welcome back. It's almost 4 stocks in the green for 1 in the red. So it's almost 80% of the market after yesterday's big rally that's continuing to make gains. And within the indices, of course, it's neck and neck competition. Sensex Nifty up about 2/3%, and Midcap and Bank Nifty up 3/4%. But it's really firing on all cylinders.
It's firing on all cylinders, and a lot of stocks are making a comeback and rallying. I think Vedanta really stands out for me now. It's metals in general. There was some global weakness, of course, that hasn't impacted the stocks. The Vedanta stock is at high point of the morning right now. Mindtree is having a bit of a breakout. So a couple of these stocks, and really, what can you say about Maruti? Warren Buffett said that if you have to invest in stocks, you should invest in stocks with the knowledge that if they close the market for 10 years, you should not have any problem. Maruti really is that stock that fits in that category.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's really every time the market has corrected, which has been the first stock which has hit new high, it's been Maruti. Yeah. Every time. I mean, just see the last 18 or 20 months, Maruti and Eicher Motors may have lost that mojo a bit, but these were the two stocks, even ahead of HDFC Bank. But phenomenal the way the Maruti
even
stock
through those minor turmoil like demonetization or GST or some export problems, where you see all other auto stocks giving you monthly lower numbers. Maruti just every month after month, year after year gives you the same tick up, higher. So I mean, I take your point completely in terms of the performance as well as stock.
And at what price did Suzuki buy the residual stake from government?
I think wasn't it double digits?
I think it was in triple digits. I think so. It's just
the stock listed at double digits, and I think the share was bought at.
I think it's 145 or 150, if I'm not wrong, was the issue price.
Oh, I see. Then maybe I'm confused with
Maruti. So somewhere around that mark, but. Just been phenomenal.
By the way, the other set of stocks that are really surging now are the future group stocks, so don't lose sight of them. Future Consumers is up 15% at the moment, and it has Future Enterprises, Future Retail for company as well. Ashwini Gujral is back with us. Ashwini, now on Future Consumers at 67 rupees. What would you do here?
Like I told you, today will be a big day. It will probably close at the highs of the session. So this is like a no-brainer. About Maruti in 10 years, the customers will be dead by then because there's no parking, there's no space on the road, pollution is bad. So I'm not sure today you can take that 10-year bet on Maruti. As far as individual stocks are concerned, Future Consumer is a buy with a stop of 62, target of 74. IndusInd Bank is a buy with a stop of 1600, target of 1720. And Vedanta is a buy with a stop of 285, target of 302.
Okay. Ashwini, I think it's only
what
fair.
Is your 10-year bet? Is it face masks?
It's retirement.
Ashwini, it's only fair that you make a disclosure that you don't buy Maruti cars, you only buy BMW and Audis, right?
You don't have place even to drive those cars. You're always scared who's going to hit you next.
Okay. But on this Vedanta call, Ashwini, this Indian metal stocks, they're sort of delinking themselves from global commodities. What do you make of that?
Not delinking. Global commodities have also come off. This is at 200-day moving average. So at any point in the last 3 or 4 months, this is the best time to get into these stocks. Finally, Indian metal stocks have to follow global prices. So that way the risk reward is extremely favorable. Also the market is turning around. So if the market has to go up, generally metals is a significant participant.
Okay, thanks Ashwini for joining us. We'll come back to you for more. Sandeep, what about you? What are you looking at today?
I would go with a buy in a Mindtree, stop loss of 564, target of 585, and a buy in a NCC, stop loss 121, target 133.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Sandeep, for joining us. We will, of course, touch base with our tech experts yet again on the hour. Okay, Mitesh, sorry, what are you watching as the clock strikes 10?
I was just wondering, Lata, you completely...
Sorry, I'm sorry, yes.
No worries on that. So I have Mindtree in my radar as well. I think I've flagged out that stock early in the morning also. It's a buy with a stop at 555 for targets close to about 600. And Dabur, as I mentioned, I think finally trying to get past those levels of 350, 351. I would buy it with a stop just below 346, so 345 half or thereabouts, and look for a target of about 363 to about 365 to begin with.
Okay, thank you very much, Mitesh. And yes, we are going to touch base with you very soon on the hour. We have to take a quick break. And thereafter, of course, okay, well, before we go to a break, we have an exclusive coming our way. So let's postpone the break by a minute. Sources tell CNBC TV18 that the three big telecom companies are making a bid for the assets of Reliance Communications. Nisha Podar has got us the details. Nisha, tell us all.
It's a large transaction, and sources with direct knowledge share that lenders have just concluded the first round of bidding process for selling the assets of Reliance Communications. And sources with direct knowledge share that the large telecom companies of the country, Bharti Airtel, Reliance Jio, as well as Idea and Vodafone India put together, have really submitted their bids. Now remember that this is going to be a different kind of sale altogether, because Reliance Communications' entire company is not something that any of these telecom operators really want. What is really going to happen is a piecemeal asset sale approach for Reliance Communications, and we do gather that each of the three companies, the entities who have bid aggressively, like Bharti Airtel, Reliance Jio and Idea Vodafone India, have really made their own choice and bouquet of assets that they want to buy. What's up for sale is not just the spectrum of Reliance Communications, but also the enterprise business, the optical fiber business, and even the tower assets. So it needs to be now seen and evaluated and assessed by the lenders, and how much of recovery can they do out of the 44,000 crore rupees of debt that is sitting on Reliance Communications books. And lenders' main purpose is to recover as much as possible by the asset sale of the company.
The market's still roaring, and it is time we got you the 22nd wealth creation study. Motilal Oswal has released the findings of this 22nd annual wealth creation study for the period between 2012 and 2017. And here are the top takeaways. First, TCS is the biggest wealth creator for the 5th time in a row. Ajanta Pharma is the fastest wealth creator for the 3rd time in a row. And Asian Paints is the most consistent wealth creator yet again.
Well, banking and finance has emerged as the biggest wealth-creating sector, while the cyclical downturn has driven wealth destruction of 6 trillion, while the wealth created during this period has been nearly 39 trillion rupees. So very interesting over there.
Absolutely. And 29 trillion rupees, of course, that was what you spoke about. Raamdeo Agarwal is the co-founder Motilal Oswal Financial Services, and he has joined us now in the studio. Raamdeo, it's always a pleasure having you with us. We've gone through most of that study that you gave us, and maybe we can show the copy as well.
Yes.
Anuj, the copy is with us.
Yes.
That's the 22nd wealth creation study. Well, first up, Raamdeo, I want to ask you, what is the incremental lesson that you have got as you and your group look for value? Yeah. What is that incremental value in the 22nd study, and what is the combined wisdom that you have got?
Yeah. So good morning, viewers. This is after 2.5 months, kind of the study. Yes. So, one of the thing about investing and making a lot of money in the market is that you need a compounders. And India produces a lot of compounders like HDFC Bank, HDFC, Infosys. So Peter Lynch was asked, what is your biggest learning of your investing career? He said one of the biggest mistake he committed was that he sold all his stocks too soon. Oh. Like he bought Home Depot when there were 4 stores, and he sold it the moment it tripled. After that, it went almost 100 times more.
Okay.
So, the great companies, let's be very clear, and there are very few of them. Great companies, they live much longer than what the investors they think. And they create much bigger money than, this so-called quick, double top or whatever, quickly you sell because it is doubled or something like that. So there's a lot of money to be made. So what happens is, in compounding, what happens is that I'll just try to give you a simple example. At 25%, a rupee doubles in 3 years and goes 10 times in 10 years. So when a rupee becomes, say you bought at 1 rupee something, and that 1 rupee goes to 10 rupees in 10 years. So how much you have added? 9. But in next 10 years, that same 10 becomes 100.
Oh, then
10 into 10. Then it adds actually 90 bucks. Then the third 10, it's like 21 to 30. Then it goes to 1000. and at that time it hits 900 rupees. So it is still called 25%, but if a company you bought, see your purchase price is frozen at $1, and if it keeps growing at 25% for 30 years, what it does, your 1 rupee becomes 1,000.
The longer you stay, the more
longer you
much
stay.
more you make.
So longevity of these compounding machines are very important characteristics.
Okay.
And it is not written on the face of any company that you will.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Raamdeo.
Is it written on the face of Bitcoin, Raamdeo?
Very tough subject, and it's the hottest subject right now. But I have zero knowledge on that. So
Well, it's not a company, so you're forgiven.
Raamdeo, good morning. So let's talk about Indian context.
Yes.
For example, let's take for example Maruti, and you liked it in the past. It's been one of the biggest wealth creators, and we were just discussing it. Issue price was 125.
Yes.
We're now talking about 10,000 almost on the stock, but. And it's truly been a great company, right? But do you have the visibility for the next 10, 15 years that some of these great companies will continue to remain great? Because that's the big one, right? Hindsight is 2020, but to predict the next 10 or 15 years.
yes, so that's where this framework of, it will look like a little slightly technical FFHH, so you have to get into this thing, but basically you have to look at the industry character. See, first thing is whether there is going to be need for the car at all. The concept of car which is 100 years old, is it going to be lasting for next 100 years? That you have to make a call. So once, if that is going to be so, if the car is needed for the basic transport, who is going to provide this car? India today does 3 million, China does 24 million. 10 years back, China was also doing 3 million. So I'm not saying that we'll do 24 million, but even if you do half of it, say 10, 12 million, who is going to provide that car? Today, out of 2 cars, 1 car is coming from Maruti. So you have to look at the industry structure. There is no rivalry. He is 51%. There is second guy is 15. There is no third. And this country needs so many millions of cars. What do you do? Then, so the industry structure has to be understood before passing the judgment.
But infrastructure was not really ready.
You have the cars, roads will come.
Okay.
And the guy who is buying, he doesn't care whether if you have the car and I am a young guy with a new wife and family, what do? I go and buy the car.
Absolutely.
It is for the government to provide the roads.
Raamdeo, we always talk about sectors that create wealth, but one sector that has almost never created wealth is PSUs. And you write very beautifully in your report about how there could be a turnaround in the PSUs because of what the government is doing. Would you bet on this space?
No, turnaround we are saying because from literally 50 companies and 50%, see, till about 2002 or 3 of our wealth creation study. We started study in 96. From 96 till 2003, every year 50% of wealth was created by PSUs. It was really commanding heights of Indian economy. And then it started sliding one by one. And 3 years back, only 2 companies came in the list. And 2% of the wealth was created. So literally lights were out in PSU entire culture. Now, because of this oil revival, the subsidy going and HPP, IOC coming through, Petronet, LNG coming through, some revival has come, but things couldn't have been worse than what it was. Literally zero. So from zero, it can only be better. Maybe there will be privatization, maybe there will be some sell-off, maybe they will tighten the management. But the competition, as the competition increases in the economy, in various sectors where PSUs are operating, it will become even tougher for the PSUs to compete.
Okay. Well, in your, it's your page 31 that was very interesting. Where you have the confluence of your comparative advantage companies and the growth advantage companies. I might give you that summary. They've looked at companies which have a competitive advantage because it is difficult to get competition, because suppliers don't call the tune on various parameters, as well as those that have continuous growth advantage. And the confluence has actually 2 housing finance companies. You have Dewan Housing and LIC Housing. Is not that a sector where you can get competition easily and where margins are genuinely thin?
Yes, but competition was always there. There were banks who were already providing. But just the size of the opportunity is so big right now. Of course, the competition has come. It will dent the conversion, the spreads which you have. But all the lending companies, one of the biggest problem world over, they go under not because of the expenses or lower margin, because of the bad underwriting. When you give loan to somebody who doesn't return it back, then you are in trouble. All the PSU banks are in trouble because money is not coming back. Not that their expenses are more or anything like that. So housing finance is one thing where at least at this stage of India, where houses are literally not there.
Diligence is most important.
Yeah. So what happens is that if your collateral is there, you will have delay in payments, but loan loss will not be there finally. Money will come back because the collateral is solid.
Sure.
You know. So you have to just avoid the fraudulent cases. But if you have the good underwriting skills and collaterals are there, with delay also money comes back.
Okay. Raamdeo, you know, it's interesting. We've been talking about a bear market for pharma, but for the last 3 years, it's a pharma company which has been the fastest wealth creator, right?
Yes,
Ajanta
yes,
Pharma. In the past also, we have seen a couple of pharma companies do that. So, do you think Indian pharma will still keep finding, you know, these stories which will, you know, keep, you know, generating wealth despite the kind of negative headwinds that we have right now?
Yeah. So see, pharma and IT both, where India has a huge prowess and opportunity is global. But since it was very America-centric, pharma, you know, kind of exports were building up, and they had become very large globally. But there are a lot of profits were coming from US, and there is a structural change in the US, the way US is buying the generic pharma. I think there is a consolidation at the distributor level, and the competition among the Indian players also for the same molecule had also increased. So these guys, they have to see, world has to consume a lot of generics as it ages and the population grows, and nobody can produce the quality and a price at which Indians can produce. So obviously the business belongs to India. Now who strategizes in such a way that they are able to make money out of that? See, they are still making money. They are not making as filthy money as they were making 3 years back. So there is a reset of the profit level. And I think they will find smarter ways. There's biosimilar now, you saw the Biocon. So they'll enter a newer phase of it. And they're the first. Dr. Reddy did in 95, the first to file. Now they're the first in biosimilar. So there'll be many more riches. But finally, India will be there in generic space.
Okay, and actually you have many more as well, to be fair. Cadila Healthcare, 33% profit growth every year, compounded annual for the last 5 years, and 31% price growth continually for the past 5 years. And likewise for GSK Pharma, you have a very high rate of growth, Divi's Labs. So,
actually, one of the things is that of the cap and gap. Cap is a well-discussed subject. It is already there in the, if you Google, you'll find a lot of literature on comparative advantage period. For how long profits remain intact in the companies. You know, there's no birthright that Coca-Cola will keep making money. You know, someday the companies mature and they die out. Like Century Textile in 80s and 90s, they were making huge amount of money. Now they are struggling. So, so there is always a life cycle of the companies. So in that you have the comparative advantage period when you actually make huge profits, you are at peak of your health, and then growth advantage period. So what is this growth advantage period is a new concept written first time by us. So what happens is, we have observed when we studied the life cycle of the companies, we find that companies, they start growing at some age, say after 5 years, 7 years, when everything is fit and the tailwind is there, there is a growth, the companies start growing for various reasons. And once they start growing, they keep growing for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, like HDFC Limited. Now, let me tell you this, I mean, we have covered HDFC
yes,
extensively
it's also
here.
there in your...
So, they started in 78 for with 10 crores. And I think they got listed around that time. And in 81, if I'm not wrong, they made first 60 lakhs profit. And then they made 1 crore profit. And then since then, last year they made 11,000 crores profit. And this year they will make more than 13,000 crores. You know? So if you bought 100 shares then for 100 rupees, till about 87, I remember it used to be trading for 100 rupees share used to be trading for 130, 140. It used to trade on yield of 8-9%.
So Raamdeo, that's about growth advantage, but coming into competitive advantage, I wanted to ask you, how do you realize when a company has reached its peak as far as competitive advantage is concerned? For example, Titan, we're going to profile the company now. It's gone through a lot of ups and downs. What gives you conviction?
Yeah, so that's where again, coming back to the industry structure, how exactly they are beating the competition, quarter after quarter, quarter after quarter. So is there, who are the guys? So if you look at the industry structure, first you have to see whether there is, how once the company starts making money, can the new guys come and spoil the party? That's what really happens in capitalism. The moment you start making money, 10 more guys will come in, and then they'll spoil the party. And because nobody wants you only to make money. So where is there any barrier to the jewelry, say Titan. So now in Titan, it's open for all. I mean, you can open a jewelry shop, I can open a jewelry shop, nobody can stop. But can I compete the way Titan can compete? Because there are so many jewelry shops, but there is only one Tata, on which name there is a trust. Okay? Then once you go there with a trust, they're not going to buy just because Tata name is there. The designs has to be there, the customer service has to be very good, and then a whole lot of things they do. So Titan has won. If they started selling, I think, jewelry in 2000, early 2000, 2001 also. Otherwise, it was a watch company. Yeah? So watch itself, the Titan brand was fantastic.
Absolutely.
Then they created this Tanishq, and they have attacked to one of the largest segment of India, where jewelry is such an integral part of everybody's life here. And ladies, they love to splurge on jewelry. They have to. There are segments of your office going jewelries and the marriage jewelries. So it's a very large segment. And and Titan is not a number one jeweler in any of the cities. They are number 3, number 4. There is always a local jeweler. So there's a long way to go for them to gain some kind of share. And now with GST and demonetization and not cash dealing coming through, now the quality advantage people had, in the sense that the competition used to say 18 carat, but actually it will be 15 carat. Okay. Now that will go away. So all the advantages of unorganized will go away, and Titan will have a good time.
Actually,
I have just
we
one
should
more
pull up
question.
Titan, actually.
Yeah.
Look at the way that stock has risen as you were talking.
It's been a huge multi-bagger, of course, but today as well, of course, the stock's up and it's hit new all-time high. Should be index stock as well, Lata, at some point, of course. Raamdeo, one more thing from my point of view. 70, you can correct me if I'm wrong, 70 to 80% of these companies are, in some sense, consumption companies, that catering to consumers. And that's been global trend as well. Is that likely to remain the big theme? You've got to catch these companies?
That is going to remain the biggest theme, because one thing you can be guaranteed: as the economy grows, the consumption will grow. And on the back of consumption only, the whole show is going to happen. So, and human beings' consumption is very predictable. You will eat 400 to 500 grams every meal, and in the meal also you'll have whatever curd or this or that. So you can actually predict how 1.3 billion people will consume, and with the data analytics you can see even more so what exactly is going to happen. So consumer is one thing around which the whole circus happens in the economy, and it is the most predictable. Now the issue is that companies are smart in creating barriers. Okay, you want to buy coffee, but there will be 3 players in, say, like car. It's open to everybody. There is no license. But 1 out of 2 cars, can you believe this? What a situation it is. Nowhere in the world it is there.
Well, Raamdeo, we have to take a break
because
we have to invite the 2 managements whom you have spoken about, Titan and HDFC Bank. We are taking a quick break, and coming back, we'll touch base with one of the 2 companies which are such big wealth creators.